Hello everyone, I thought it would be really fun to film this video in my library. You're currently leaned up against what will be my bookshelves. All my books are on the floor right now. The bookshelves are hollow. My dad is building them, but he lives about an hour away, so he can only do so much in so much time. But this will one day, I'll be filming reversed in front of bookshelves. Hopefully, fingers crossed. Not fingers crossed. I mean, it will happen, but we'll just see when. I'm very excited. But anyway, I'm here to just film a quick, I always say quick, but it's probably gonna end up being longer because I talk a lot. But I'm here to film a 2024 goals video. Reading goals, writing goals, social media goals. I have a little list here, so let's get into them. Firstly, we're gonna do reading goals. So I have set my Goodreads goal to 90 books. The last 2 years, I've read more books than I ever have. Last year, I read 115, something like that. And then in 2022, I read 130, which is the most books I've ever read in a year. I don't think one of my goals is I want to be less focused on quantity this year a little bit. Obviously 90 books is still a lot, but I'm gonna try not to pressure myself, and I might lower that if I find myself feeling pressured, because I talked about this a little bit in my self-destruct video. That is a good video to reference. I put a lot of books in that self-destruct video that I want to read, like my priority TBR for 2024. I have a few others here that I'll mention, but one thing I mentioned in that video is I want to focus more on big fantasy books. And focus on big fantasy books that I'm really excited to read, because fantasy is my favorite genre, and I feel like especially, I've read a lot of young adult fantasy, but hardly any, I feel like, adult fantasy, except for like Brandon Sanderson, who's great, but I just want to kind of diversify, broaden my horizons a little bit, and I have so many big fantasy books in my TBR that I get so intimidated by, so this is the year that I'm really going to try and like make a dent in those. So I have a bunch of those in that self-destruct video, but I have a few more. I have A Time of Contempt by Andrzej Sapkowski. This is the Witcher guy. This is the second book in the Witcher series. I've actually read the first book and then like I've read all the side books. Like there's like a separate story and then a few short story collections, but this is the second book in the main series. I just need to continue on, and it's intimidating because it doesn't have an audiobook. That's really what gets me sometimes. I have to read it with my eyes. That's one. I have Malice by John Gwynne. I've heard so many great things about this, and I need to read it. Another one, I started this one, The Name of Things by Jen Lyons. I'm like 100 pages in, and I put it down because this is like a fairly confusing fantasy series. This is the second book. I read Rune of Kings in 2022, and I need to continue before I forget everything. So that's one. Just a general goal of mine to read more of those big fantasy books and focus on quality over quantity, because I feel like a lot of us do this. It's just this like pressure to read as many books as possible. So I'm trying to do away with that this year. And then I always have a goal every year to, read new releases, read diversely, and just, stay current and whatever. So that's always just a general goal I have. So I'll say that's goal number 2. And then my third main reading goal is this is also a goal I have usually, is to catch up on all of my, some authors. I won't say favorite authors. I mean, they are favorite authors, but there's just a few authors that I follow that I want to be caught up with, and that I've been behind on just consistently because they publish so much. So first one is Sarah J. Maas, very popular here on YouTube and Book Talk. I've read all of ACOTAR, but I've not read any Crescent City. I'm sorry to all the people who are very excited for the third book. I've not read any of that, and I've only read half of the Throne of Glass series. I forgot to get Empire of Storms, but that's upstairs. But I have Tower of Dawn, I have Crescent City 1, so I just want to catch up. I love the ACOTAR series. Throne of Glass is like a solid 4-star series for me. I think the plotting is really weird, but they're fun. And I don't know what I think about these yet. So yeah, I want to be caught up. Her books are so entertaining. So that's something I want to do for sure. Next is my girl Cassandra Clare. I feel ashamed to say that I've not read Chain of Thorns, the newest Shadowhunter book. I got to read this, but look at it. It's huge. I think this book is 900 pages. Okay, 800 pages, but still very intimidating. And then I really want to read her new release that's not connected to Shadowhunters, which is Swordcatcher. Super excited for this one. This could also go in that big fantasy pile because look at it, it's huge. So yeah, I want to catch up with her. I feel like usually I'm really good about like staying on top of authors I like, but these four in particular, they just write so much. Next, I have actually I'll save this one for last. Next, I'm going to talk about Rick Riordan. So I have this weird deal with myself where as a kid, I never finished the Egyptian trilogy. I've reread this twice and I just never finished, I never read the third book. And I did not enjoy it quite as much as his other series. So I just have put it off and I'm like, you know what? Last year I told myself, you have to read this trilogy before you're allowed to finish Trials of Apollo because I love Trials of Apollo. So this year it's gonna happen. It was supposed to happen last year, but this year it's gonna happen. I'm gonna reread the first two books, finish this trilogy, and then finish Trials of Apollo, and then finally be able to read The Sun and the Star because there's a spoiler. This takes place after the series. So that's gonna be really exciting to finally be able to read The Sun and the Star and just be all caught up on Rick Riordan. And then lastly, my consistent goal every year for the last forever is to catch up on Brandon Sanderson. And this year, I think it can finally happen. I'm so close, I can taste it. I have to read all 4 Secret novels. I have 2 right here. I have Trust of the Emerald Sea and Yumi and the Nightmare Painter. So I gotta read those, very excited. I need to finish his young adult sci-fi series with Defiant. I just read Cytonic, so I'm like ready to go. And then obviously I want to catch up in the Stormlight Archives with Rhythm of War. This one is the most scary, obviously, because it's enormous. But I think I'm going to end up reading this with a friend of mine, but she needs to read Oathbringer first. So I'm kind of waiting on that, which is okay because it's enormous. And then this might not happen this year, but I also want to read his middle grade series. Eventually, this will be much more attainable, but have all that for Brandon. And then the last thing I'll kind of slide in here for books is I always want to stay on top of my author friends' books in my publishing house. Specifically, I have some more upstairs on my TBR shelf I forgot to grab, but right now, just with me down here, I have We'd Know By Then by Kristen Bowling. I have read the main book, but she wrote like a fairly long novella that's in the back half here that I really want to read. I have The Seldom Wings by Becca Westrup. This isn't through my publishing house, but she is with my publishing house. This is a book she self-published. I actually beta read this a long time ago, so I really want to read the new version and like see what she changed and everything because I really enjoyed it when I read it for her. And then the other one I have down here is the Blood That Binds Us by Erin Maynard. The second one just came out and I need to read it and catch up. So those are all my book goals. And then really quick, we're going to talk about writing goals. And here, let me like scoot. Ow, I just cracked all my fingers doing that. We'll talk about writing goals and social media goals really quick, and then we can wrap this video up and keep it short and sweet. So for writing, I really want to finish Ace of Swords. Really quick, the lowdown on Ace of Swords. I published it with an indie publisher in 2021. That publisher went under, and now for the last 3 to 4 years now, I've been completely rewriting it with Lake Country Press, my publisher. There's their little logo. They've been very patient with me. It's just taken so much longer than I have wanted it to. I've been working very hard on it, and it's coming out in 2025. I don't know when in 2025 yet, but I want to be done with it this year. I'm editing it again right now, and I want it to be behind me so I can focus on marketing it a bit more, which we'll talk about in a second. And I want to write a whole nother book this year because I feel like I have just been working on Ace of Swords for so long. It has been a bit, I guess, stifling to only work and feel like I have to work on this one thing because it is my priority. So I want to write a whole nother book. So, and just, I think I'll just feel so much better about myself and my writing to like prove to myself I can write something else. I hope that makes sense. But I'm going to try and be doing, well, we're transferring into social media a little bit, but trying to document more writing on TikTok. I want to make book recommendation videos for TikTok. I just want to post more on TikTok specifically because I'm very bad at it. I want to be more consistent on TikTok. I've been trying to brainstorm all sorts of ideas. It's just, sometimes it's discouraging because it is very time consuming, and when you don't really get the views or likes that you want, it can be very discouraging, but that doesn't mean I should stop trying, because that's just the way the cookie crumbles sometimes. So that is definitely my big social media goal, and to also utilize like Canva and stuff to make fun graphics, like with wrap-ups on Instagram and stuff like that. I think I'm gonna try and do that a bit more. So I think that's everything. I think that I covered everything. Those are all my goals. I'm gonna be posting like a short version of this on TikTok as well, so I'll leave a link below. Follow my TikTok. I'm gonna be trying to post way more on there. So yeah, hope you enjoyed. Peace.